Sam C. Hey guys, here we go. We got some story time with Ronnie. Oh boy, it feels like a long time since we've been on big old Ronnie. Probably hasn't been though. Okay, what is going on today? Well, it looks like we's doing Journey to the Center of the Earth, Chapter 12. Ooh-wee. Where are we at? Oh boy. The Virgin River Canyon Recreation Area. It's a BLM area along the 15. There's a little special little spot of Arizona there where you go from here to there and here to there and over again, that kind of thing. If you can look it up in the corner of the state there and you'll say, oh, look at that. Okay, this story. Now, where are we at? Journey to the Center of the Earth. Oh yeah, we had just finished off chapter 11, and they were getting ready to get down in that volcano, in that crater. So, but they got to climb the dang mountain first and then go down in it. All right, you guys want to talk about this campground? Let's take a look at this campground. So, oh boy, yeah, we're gonna stop here and drop off the garbage, and then of course, every time you stop, you should, take a look around and see what you see, and then when you come back in, you should make sure you closed all the fridges and cupboards and all that kind of thing. So in other words, I'm trying to set you up and tell you that we're going to sit here at this garbage can for a bit. So it's a good time to get this story started. This is chapter 12. Chapter 12 of A Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. The huge volcano, which was the first stage of our daring experiment, is about 5,000 feet high. Sneffels is the termination of a long range of volcanic mountains of a different character to the system of the island itself. One of its peculiarities is its two huge pointed summits. From whence we started, it was impossible to make out the real outlines of the peak against the gray field of the sky. All we could distinguish was a vast dome of white, which fell downwards from the head of the giant. Well, yeah, you can't see nothing but clouds. The commencement of the great undertaking filled me with awe. Now that we had actually started, I began to believe in the reality of the undertaking. Our party formed quite a procession. We walked in single file, preceded by Hans, the imperturbable eider duck hunter. He calmly led us by narrow paths where two persons could no possibility walk abreast. Conversation was wholly impossible. We had all the more opportunity to reflect and admire the awful grandeur of the scene around. Kind of like this garbage can thing here. Beyond the extraordinary basaltic wall of the fjord of Stapi, we found ourselves making our way through fibrous turf, over which grew a scanty vegetation of grass, the residuum of the ancient vegetation of the swampy peninsula. The vast mass of this combustible the field of which as yet is utterly unexplored, would suffice to warm Iceland for a whole century. This mighty turf pit, measured from the bottom of certain ravines, is often less than 70 feet deep, and presents to the eye the view of successive layers of black, burned up rocky detritus, separated by thin streaks of porous sandstone. Okay, let's take another look. Oh boy, we're still getting rid of garbage. Actually, I think I'm probably back in now and making sure all the doors are closed and the bladders are empty. The grandeur of the spectacle was undoubted, as well as the arid and deserted air. As a true nephew of the great Professor Hardwick, and despite my preoccupation and doleful fears of what was to come, I observed with great interest the vast collection of mineralogical curiosities spread out before me in this vast museum of natural history. Looking back to my recent studies, I went over in thought the whole geological history of Iceland. This extraordinary and curious island must have made its appearance from out of the great world of waters at a completely recent date, like the coral islands of the Pacific. It may, for aught we know, be still rising by slow and imperceptible degrees. If this really be the case, its origins can be attributed to only one cause, that of the continued action of subterranean fires. This was a happy thought. If so, if this were true, away with the theories of Sir Humphrey Davy, away with the authority of the parchment of Arne Sognusum, the wonderful pretensions to discovery on the part of my uncle, and to our journey. It must end in smoke. Charmed with the idea, I began more carefully to look about me. A serious study of the soil was necessary to negate or confirm my hypotheses. I took in every item of which I saw, and I began to comprehend the succession of phenomena which had preceded its formation. Iceland, being absolutely without sedimentary soil, is composed exclusively of volcanic tufa. This is to say, of an agglomeration of stones and rocks of a porous texture. Long before the existence of volcanoes, it was composed of a solid body of massive trap rock, lifted bodily and slowly out of the sea by the action of the centrifugal force at work in the earth. Oh, well, he sounds pretty confident about that. Let's take a peekaboo. Oh, we finally rolling. Yeah. Now that road, it is so narrow. And it's got a stripe down the middle there, and you think, oh, it's not so bad. But when you're at the top or at the bottom, you take a look and you kind of make a beeline, because if there's two of yous like the size of Big Ronnie, forget it. All right, so here we go. Which way are we gonna go? We gonna go sinning or not sinning? I guess we'll go not sinning. And that means we're gonna go to Vegas, because in Vegas, ain't nothing you do is a sin. Ha! You know what they say? No, what do they say? They say don't be a jackass in Vegas and do something that you would not do at home. That's what they should be saying. Anyway, moving on. All right, let's get back to this story. Where were we now? Oh, I was being all super confident there, and under thinking I didn't need to. Oh, there it is right there. Ha! No problemo. All right, so we jumping on the freeway here. We boogie in towards Vegas. And, you know, this camera here, that's an old Sony X3000 action cam. And boy, oh boy, that is sure got a nice picture for an old camera. All right. Centrifugal force at work in the Earth. The internal fires, however, had not yet burst their bounds and flooded the exterior cake of Mother Earth with hot and raging lava. My readers must excuse this brief and somewhat pedantic geological lecture, but it is necessary to the complete understanding of what follows. At a later period in the world's history, a huge and mighty fissure must, reasoning by analogy, have been dug diagonally from the southwest to the northwest from the southwest to the northeast of the island, through which by degrees flowed the volcanic crust. The great and wondrous phenomenon then went on without violence. The outpouring was enormous, and the seething, fused matter ejected from the bowels of the earth spread slowly and peacefully in the form of vast level plains, or what are called, mamelons, or mounds. Yeah, we're gonna zip right through this canyon here, and yeah, the road's beat up. It's a busy road, a lot of trucks, and I was told that on the downhill, that the reason that there's always those the sections of the freeway that are kind of like, and they get waves in them and stuff like that, it's because the truckers are actually causing the road to cause ripples, like if you were pushing down on a fabric or something, on a sheet, you'd cause those little ripples to show up, and that's what a road guy told me. And it sounds good. It sounds like a really nice little Cliff Clavin kind of story you could tell somebody, and they'd go, "Damn, you sound like you know what you're talking about." You go, yeah, for sure I do. When it comes to talking about bullshit, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Bullshit. All right. It was this epoch. No shit, we ain't there yet. Am I swearing? I think I may have sworn there. If so, I will, endeavor to find salvation at a later period. Okay, let's get back to it. That's enough of that. It was at this epoch that the rocks called feldspars, syenites, and porphyries appeared. But as a natural consequence of this overflow, the depth of the island increased. It can readily be believed what an enormous quantity of elastic fluids were piled up within its center, when at last it afforded no other openings after the process of cooling the crust had taken place. At length, a time came when, despite the enormous thickness and weight of the upper crust, the mechanical forces of the combustible gases below became so great that they actually upheaved the weighty back and made for themselves huge and gigantic shafts. Hence, the volcanoes which suddenly arose through the upper crust, and next the craters, which burst forth at the summit of these new creations. It will be seen that the first phenomena in connection with the formation of the island were simply eruptive to these. However, shortly they succeeded the volcanic phenomena. Though the newly formed openings escaped the marvelous mass of basaltic stones with which the plain were now crossing were covered, we were trampling our way over heavy rocks of dark gray color, which, while cooling, had been molded into six-sided prisms. In the back distance, we could see a number of flattened cones, which formerly were so many fire-vomiting mouths. After the basaltic eruptions was appeased and set at rest, the volcano, the force of which increased with that of the extinct craters, gave free passage to the fiery overflow of lava, and to the mass of cinders and pumice stone now scattered over the sides of the mountain, like disheveled hair on the shoulders of a bashante. Here, in a nutshell, I had the whole history of the phenomena from which Iceland arose. All take their rise in the fierce action of interior fires, and to believe that the central mass did not remain in a state of liquid fire, white hot, was simply and purely madness. This being satisfactorily proved, what insensate folly to pretend to penetrate into the interior of the mighty earth. This mental lecture delivered to myself while proceeding on a journey did me good. All right, guys, I think we're pretty much, that's a good spot to end it right there. Thanks so much for coming along, and we'll catch you next time. Sam, see, and we'll try to leave you with just a moment of Rosie to keep our balance on this razor's edge.